Welcome, listeners, to Embracing Power and Potential, your go-to podcast where we travel through the realms of personal growth, mindset mastery, and fear-conquering strategies to help achieve your greatest desires. I'm your host, Portia, and I'm thrilled to be your guide on this transformative experience. If you're ready to unleash your authentic power and elevate your life, you're in the right place. Join me and our special guests as we embark on conversations that will broaden your horizons and enrich your journey. So, sit back and immerse yourself in these unmatched discussions. It's time to expand your mind and your life. What if I told you money is just energy, waiting for you to call it in? Well, on this episode of the last Money Magnet series, part 3, we are going to be diving into raising your energetic minimum. In the previous episodes, we have talked about how money is energy, being a vibrational match to the money you want in your life, rewriting your money beliefs that came from childhood or experiences that you have faced, the energetic exchange of spending, and shifting from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. So if you haven't, definitely go back and check those previous 2 episodes out, as that will give you a greater understanding about what I will be talking about today. I just want to start with a little quote for you to think about, and it is from a book that has been a catalyst for my money journey, which was from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Now, if you haven't, definitely go and check this book out, and I will pop it in the show notes for you to have a look at and see where you can get it from. So the quote is, "People's lives are forever controlled by 2 emotions, fear and greed." So just sit with that. In this episode, I am going to be talking about the following topics: raising your energetic minimum, getting specific, ways that you may be financially blocked, the importance of applying gratitude, embodiment, and the law of giving to receive, and how to navigate this. So I hope you enjoy this episode, and I hope you can take some different points and different perspectives from this money series that maybe you haven't thought of before, or opening yourself up to the possibility of money being infinite, which it is. And I know it's a hard concept to grasp, especially if you have come from a harder financial background or in poverty, or have struggled in some way. But being open to this is really the start to changing your situation. So firstly, raising your energetic minimum. Everyone has an energetic minimum, whether they realize it or not. Basically, your energetic minimum for money is the lowest amount of money you subconsciously feel safe or comfortable having in your life. It's like a financial baseline that your energy is set to, meaning no matter what happens, unexpected expenses, a job loss, business fluctuations, or whatever the case, you somehow always find a way to stay at or above this level. For example, your energetic minimum is $3,000 a month. Even if your income drops temporarily, you instinctively take that action, whether it be hustling or manifesting it or adjusting your spending to bring yourself back to that amount. But say if suddenly you receive way more than your set point, maybe you win $10,000. You might actually feel uneasy, and of course, consciously, who wouldn't love winning $10,000? I'm sure we all will, because we would all be able to use that in some way. And the feeling of winning money, we would all say yes, we want to, but subconsciously, you might actually feel uneasy about this or unconsciously sabotage this money by spending it quickly because it exceeds what feels normal to you. But we can actually raise our energetic minimum. This you can do by shifting your beliefs, your actions, and your identity to align with a higher financial standard. But also, and I don't like using this word because I believe that anything that we put our mind to is possible. I always talk about making the impossible possible. But just when you're starting this, especially coming from a very thick scarcity mindset, start small. Take little baby steps until you actually feel comfortable, and you will keep being able to raise this and raise this. Maybe you want to try and raise it every month or every 6 months. Maybe you feel like you can up level and take another step. So you can do this by normalizing higher amounts of money, and this can be through affirmations, visualizations, and environmental shifts. Unfortunately, a lot of us that have grown up in poverty backgrounds or financial hardship, your environment can sometimes be a block to actually breaking that ceiling of that financial energetic minimum that you may have. And this could be through generational or lineage that you have a financial block with money, and money wounds that stem from generations before you were born. But this is where doing this work and rewriting these money beliefs can actually change you and your future and your children's future, or the future of the generations after you, your lineage. So another way is visualization and being consistent. I always talk about consistency. It's so important to do these daily practices every day to actually become a part of your normality and your daily life. Sometimes environmental shifts can be the hardest, but even if it's taking yourself out of the household or changing the conversations that your family has around money. For example, in my home, we've actually banned the word expensive in our house. We no longer use that. Instead, we use the word luxe, because things being expensive is it's a lack word, in my opinion. It's a way of saying that we don't have enough for that, or that's too expensive, when things may be expensive, but that's not the case in my perspective, because if not now, we will afford that thing. So it's luxe. It's a luxury, but it's affordable. So just changing the wording that is used in your environment can be a big step to unlocking these financial blocks. And one more way to raise your energetic minimum is practicing holding on to larger sums of money instead of immediately spending or fixing something with them. So, you may get a large sum of money come in from somewhere, somehow, and straight away our minds go to, paying off that debt and paying off those bills, or, investing or buying that new car that may be needed, and these bills do need to be paid, but just holding that for a little bit longer and actually feeling comfortable with that amount of money within your life or sitting in your bank account. These are all the ways that you can open up and actually raise that energetic minimum and feel safe and comfortable with it. A good way to look at it is it's like a thermostat. Once you reset it, your financial reality will adjust accordingly. So being consistent with this is really important, and healing those limiting beliefs around wealth and self-worth. It is so important to believe that you are worthy of the amount of money that you are calling in. Because if you don't believe you're worthy, the universe is never going to give that to you, because that feeling and your energetic frequency does not match that amount of money that you should feel deserving of. If you don't feel deserving of it, and maybe you feel guilty, because guilt can be a big part, and shame of actually wanting more money. Sometimes you feel like you can't even say that, we want more money, because it's like a greedy, shameful thing, when it's not. If you're using money for good reason, I don't understand why we all don't deserve unlimited amounts of money. Ever feel like you're meant for more, but something keeps holding you back? Maybe you've read the books, set the goals, but deep down, doubt still creeps in. It's not just about working harder, it's about rewriting your mindset for success. I help ambitious young people break past limiting beliefs, step into their power, and create the life they know they are meant for. If you're ready to stop playing small and start living big, book in your free discovery call with me today. My website will be linked in the show notes, or you can find me in my Instagram bio. Embracing Power and Potential Coaching Services. A vision to empower 10,000 young people to create a life they truly desire. So my next point is getting specific. So when you are calling in money, the most important thing is getting specific with the amount of money that you want, especially when you are raising your energetic minimum. Because you can't just call in, I want, even when you say unlimited amounts of money, that is just, it is broad, but it is calling in money from any different sorts, but it's not a specific amount. So I don't like using the word realistic, but also being realistic to start and calling in an amount that actually feels good to you. Like you can actually, when you think about it, you get this feeling of gratitude and like you are deserving of it, because sometimes too much amount of money can actually make you feel, like you can't breathe. Maybe it brings too much responsibility, or, it scares you at the start. So ease into it. And lots of money, if you're saying I want to call in lots of money, can look different for people. So lots of money could be $50 for some people. That are financially struggling and are really below the poverty line. But then $10,000 can be a lot of money for some people. So finding your specific amount and actually being clear on that and calling that in from the universe. So next I want to talk about how you may be blocked financially, and this can come from the energy that you are putting out. For example, sometimes we're calling in money, but not in an abundant way where we are trusting the universe for this to come in. Sometimes without realizing it, we may be calling it in through desperation. And desperation is a lower vibrational emotion, which is actually lack. So you feel like there's not enough and you're desperately calling more money to come in. This is when you actually cause resistance towards the things that you want, whether it's money or anything else in life. When you're feeling desperate for it, like, oh, I need this thing, I need this, or that is actually going to cause your manifestations to take longer to come in. Another way that you can block money from coming in is actually clinging too tightly to money and stopping that natural flow, as I'm going to talk about later, of the giving and receiving of, or the circulation of money, letting things go for more to come in, as I've talked about, creating that space. Also, financial clutter is a big one, and people don't realize how much this is impacting so many people, because this is messy energy. Financial clutter can mean maybe you have a lot of overdue bills or unresolved debts, which is actually stagnant energy in your bank. So cleaning up your financial life, looking at where you are spending money, how can you improve this and budget better? Or I don't I like to budget, but I feel like there's a fine line between being in a lack mentality with budgeting and not wanting to spend, but also being smart with your money. So when budgeting, putting the intention of actually using your money in a smart way and also being open as well at the same time is a good way to not feel like you're putting a limit on yourself, I guess. But yeah, just cleaning up your financial clutter. So, and this can look different for everyone, but maybe go back and journal on this, or yeah, have a look at your financial life. Maybe you have subscriptions that you are paying for that you no longer use anymore. So just doing a cleanup of everything financial is a big step to actually changing your financial reality and your current situation. Next, I want to talk about embodiment, but I will be doing a whole episode on this, especially in my manifestation episode that is coming out in the next couple of weeks. So I might not go too deep into this, just looking at the time, but probably one of the most important things I want to touch on is acting as if you already have the wealth that you are calling in. Acting as if you already have the wealth that you want. Trust me, sometimes it does make you feel a little bit crazy, but we like to say delulu, because being delusional is what will bring your dreams to life. Who cares if people think you're crazy for acting like you're rich? Because when you are and they aren't, then they might follow your lead. So be delusional about it. Actually, spend money and trust that it is coming back to you. But of course, don't blow all your money. Be smart about it. but taking small actions that can raise your energetic frequency. Perhaps upgrading small little habits like buying the coffee that you want instead of feeling like, oh, I could spend that $7 somewhere else, or save it and make a coffee at home. Enjoy your coffee. Buy that coffee and feel that feeling of being able to afford it and feeling grateful, because that will bring more things into your life that you can feel grateful for. I think I'll leave it there because I am going to touch a lot more in embodiment in my next episode. But I just want to lastly talk about applying gratitude, which I will also be touching on in the manifestation as episode, as it's just so important. But yeah, being grateful to spend, that you have the means to, and knowing that there's more where that came from. The last topic that I am going to talk about is giving to receive. Now, this is something I have learnt since I was a small little child. My mother would ingrain this in me, and still to this day, this is the biggest thing my mother lives by, and I'm so grateful that I did learn it when I was young, because it has improved my life, and I am grateful that I've had this knowledge and been able to use it and actually seen results. Like, I just know when things come in for me, it's because of the energy that I have given out, and I'm not expecting it to always come back from the source I give to. But when you give, the energy you put out is always what you get back. And this goes for money, but this is everything, because everything is energy. When you give, you receive. And this is, giving to charities. When you order at McDonald's and they ask you, would you like to upgrade for 60 cents? That little small thing that you are doing and putting that intention out of giving to the universe, you will always be rewarded for that. There is a fine line though, sometimes, and I've noticed I do this myself, obviously because my mum has been so big on the giving to receive, that sometimes you actually, well, I know in my experience, have been a people pleaser in the past. So sometimes I have overgiven in my life. And look, I'm not saying that it's totally a bad thing, but it can become unhealthy, especially if you feel like you are getting taken advantage of, because then the intention is not actually a good intention. It's more filled with resentment or even lack that you're giving out. Maybe you feel like you're not getting it in return, or you don't actually have enough means to give out, but you will anyway because you feel maybe that's just the person you are, is you always overgiving. But yeah, there's just a fine line that I do want you to remember as well. And yeah, giving has to come from a place of harmony and happiness, not obligation or feeling like you have to. Because abundance is about flow. And setting healthy financial boundaries shows the universe that you value your wealth. You're not being greedy, but you value your wealth. And just like when you set healthy boundaries in relationships, that's because you are valuing your own self and your own self-respect and worth. It's the exact same with money. And it can feel uncomfortable sometimes, maybe actually saying no to, but just have those conversations as well and be clear on, yeah, your financial boundaries. So I just want to tell a little story about, to finish off, my own personal experience with money and how it can randomly just come in. Like, sometimes with a click of the finger out of thin air. Not literally, but it's what it feels like. So last year, I come home from Melbourne where I was living with my ex-partner, and we had overdue rent of $3,000. I also had a personal training course that I had not completed when I was in school, and this was probably 2021. So a good while ago now, and it was like I had been overdue for a couple of years at this point. And it was like $5,000. Like it wasn't little. Like, so I had nearly $8,000 worth of debt just at the start of last year, and I had no job. I was on Centrelink at the time because I had just returned home. I was just settling in. I hadn't been here for even a month yet. And when I started working on my money mindset again and really being conscious of it and calling in money and doing all the things and rewriting my subconscious beliefs, things just started happening for me. For example, my PT course, I don't know how this happened. Nearly 3 years later, I got a random email, like in this time period of me doing the money work. And I had an email saying, if you can pay $800 this week, your whole $5,000 debt will be wiped. $800. That is all I had to pay. And this had come out of, I don't even know how, like, it was some debt collector or something that had emailed me and called me about it, which I got back to them straight away. And I actually was able to borrow money off my nan for that, which I paid her back for. And I paid that $800 that week. And my debt was completely wiped of $5,000. I also found the means to actually pay back my $3,000 rent that was due without the help of my ex-partner because he wasn't around at this point. To be completely transparent, when it was needed, and I guess in a fair way, his family did help out with some of the expenses as they felt it was the right thing to do, which I am always grateful for. But the rest of the money that I had to come up with, I don't even know how I did it. I was on Centrelink, so I know a lot of that was going to it, but I somehow had just paid it off and they did give me an extension, which was really nice of them. Like everything fell into place for me to be able to pay this money with literally like $300 a week coming in. Like that's all I had coming in. So, or $700 a fortnight or something. But they gave me extra time to pay it off, and yeah, it all just really worked out. So if you are in financial hardship or bills are piling up and you just feel like you can't get out of it, change your mindset. Start believing that you can afford it and that money will show up for you. It sounds crazy, it sounds delusional, I know, but it works. This shit works. I have seen it with my own eyes in the hardest times of my life. So please just give it a go. You actually have nothing to lose, but everything to gain. Do it in your own time. If you feel, maybe you feel a little embarrassed about doing this thing. I used to feel embarrassed when I would look at myself every day in the mirror and say, I get paid to exist. I literally say that, and I still do. I get paid to exist. But you know what? It gets comfortable, and then you actually start living by this, and you can help other people get out of their financial situations and current realities and live better lives for everyone. So, yeah, I hope that you've taken something out of this. I encourage you to take one small action today of your choice to shift your money energy. Maybe you can write an affirmation on your mirror or keep it next to your bed. If it's the first thing that you see every day and night, this actually goes deeper into your subconscious beliefs. Or just pick a money mindset book and read it. I will leave some recs in the recommendations in the show notes. If you do have any questions or breakthroughs, I'd love to hear them and I can answer any questions. So message me on Instagram at Portia Udding or email me with the link I will have below. And just to finish, I would be so grateful if you could give this show a like and a follow, as I am an independent podcast, or sharing this with friends and family that you may think benefit from this, because this helps me grow my audience, as I only have started a few months ago, and I do thank you so much for being a part of this journey. Sending you so much love. Hope you have the best week, and we'll chat in our next episode. Bye.